Most people don't fail because they lack ability. They fail because they drift. Days turn into years, intentions turn into excuses, and potential quietly expires. But there comes a moment when enough is enough, when you look at your life and realize that what you've been doing is no longer acceptable. This is that moment. This is not about regret, blame, or wishing things were different. It's about decision, a decision to draw a line between who you were and who you are willing to become. You don't need more time, more luck, or more motivation. You need a reset in thinking, a restart in action, and a refocus in direction. Because when a person gets serious about their life, the calendar stops controlling them and they start controlling the outcome. And if you're ready to stop drifting and start directing, then 2026 won't be just another year. It will be your comeback year. You don't need a new life. You need a new direction. Most people secretly believe that if their life isn't working, the solution must be something external. A new place, a new job, new people, new luck. But the truth is far simpler and far more demanding. If you don't change direction, you will keep arriving at the same destination, no matter how many times you restart. Direction is the silent force shaping your life every single day. It's not your hopes that determine your future. It's the path you repeatedly choose, even when you're not paying attention. Many people are sincere, hardworking, and well-intentioned, yet they drift, doing a little of this, a little of that, reacting instead of deciding, busy but not building. And drifting is dangerous because you don't feel it happening. You don't wake up one morning and say, today I will waste my potential. It happens slowly through neglected goals, postponed decisions, and the habit of letting circumstances choose for you. That's why a comeback year doesn't start with a dramatic overhaul. It starts with a quiet but firm decision: I will no longer drift. You see, life rewards direction, not desire. Desire without direction becomes frustration. Effort without direction becomes exhaustion. Talent without direction becomes regret. Direction gives meaning to effort, clarity to discipline, and power to consistency. When you choose a clear direction, your daily choices begin to align. Your time starts to make sense, and even setbacks serve a purpose. This is why changing direction is more powerful than changing environment. You can move to a new city and take the same habits with you. You can start a new job and bring the same mindset along. You can meet new people and repeat the same patterns. But when you change direction internally, when you decide what you stand for, what you're building, and what you will no longer tolerate, everything externally begins to reorganize itself. Direction means deciding what matters most and letting go of what merely fills time. It means understanding that not every opportunity is an opportunity for you. It means realizing that saying yes to everything is the fastest way to say no to your future. A comeback year requires selectivity. It requires the courage to disappoint others rather than disappoint yourself. Direction also demands responsibility, because once you know where you're going, excuses lose their power. You can no longer blame the economy, the past, or other people for staying stuck. Direction puts the steering wheel back in your hands. And that's uncomfortable for many, because comfort lives in blame while growth lives in ownership. But ownership is also where freedom begins. The moment you accept responsibility for direction, you reclaim your power. Now your days are not random, they are investments. Now your habits are not accidental, they are deliberate. Now your future is not a mystery, it's a projection of what you repeatedly do. Directio. N doesn't mean you won't struggle. It means your struggle has purpose. It doesn't mean you won't fail. It means failure becomes feedback, not a verdict. It doesn't mean the road will be easy. It means the road will be worth it. Many people wait for clarity before they move, but clarity often comes after commitment, not before it. Direction is chosen first, confidence follows later. You don't need to have everything figured out to begin. You only need to know what you're no longer willing to accept and what you're committed to building next. A comeback year begins the moment you stop asking, what should I do? And start asking, who must I become to earn the life I want? Because direction is not just about goals, it's about identity. When you decide the kind of person you are becoming, disciplined, dependable, focused, growth-oriented, your decisions start making sense automatically. You stop negotiating with yourself. You stop explaining your dreams to people who don't share your vision. Why? Oh, you stop wasting energy proving things and start investing energy building things. And slowly, almost quietly, your life begins to move. Momentum replaces stagnation. Confidence replaces confusion. Progress replaces frustration. This is why 2026 can be your comeback year, not because the world will suddenly change, but because you will stop drifting and start directing. You will wake up with intention. You will measure your days not by comfort, but by progress. You will understand that success is not one giant leap, but the result of choosing the right direction and walking it daily, patiently, and persistently. When direction is clear, discipline becomes easier. When direction is strong, distractions lose their appeal. And when direction is personal, chosen by you, owned by you, protected by you, no setback, delay, or doubt can permanently stop you because you are no longer wandering. You are on your way. Reset your thinking before you reset your circumstances. If you want 2026 to be different, you must understand one unshakable truth. Your life does not change from the outside in. It changes from the inside out. Many people spend years trying to rearrange circumstances while carrying the same thinking that created those circumstances in the first place. They hope a new year, a new opportunity, or a new relationship will fix what is broken, but results never rise above mindset. The way you think determines the choices you make, the habits you form, the standards you accept, and ultimately, the life you live. That's why a real comeback doesn't begin with action. It begins with a reset in philosophy. Until your thinking changes, progress will always be temporary. You may get motivated for a moment, disciplined for a season, or successful for a short time, but sooner or later, old thinking pulls you back to familiar results. A reset means questioning the beliefs you've been living by, especially the comfortable ones. It means asking yourself hard questions. What have I been telling myself that is no longer true? What excuses have I dressed up as facts? What limits have I accepted without evidence? Because many people don't fail due to lack of ability. They fail because they underestimate what they can learn, tolerate what they should change, and repeat what they should outgrow. Your thinking shapes your expectations, and your expectations shape your behavior. If you expect little from yourself, you will subconsciously deliver little. If you believe effort won't matter, you will stop trying early. If you assume success belongs to others, you will sabotage your own progress. Resetting your thinking means raising your internal standards before demanding better outcomes. It means understanding that discipline is not punishment, it is self-respect. That growth is not painful, staying stuck is. That responsibility is not a burden, it is the doorway to control. When your thinking resets, blame loses its appeal. You stop pointing fingers at the past, the system, or other people, and you start asking, what can I do better today? That single question, asked daily, separates those who improve from those who repeat. A thinking reset also means embracing the long game. Many people quit too early because they expect fast results from slow processes. They plant seeds and dig them up every week to see if they're growing. But mature thinking understands that results lag behind effort, and progress is often invisible before it becomes undeniable. When you reset your thinking, you stop measuring success by feelings and start measuring it by consistency. You understand that boredom is not a signal to quit. It's a sign you're building something real. You also stop negotiating with your weaknesses. Instead of saying, that's just how I am, you say, that's something I need to improve. Growth begins the moment excuses end. And this reset doesn't require perfection. It requires honesty. Honest evaluation of where you are, why you're there, and what must change if you expect a different future. Thinking reset means replacing hope with strategy, wishes with plans, and emotion with principle. It means choosing to act based on values, not moods. Because moods change daily, but values anchor behavior. When your thinking is anchored, you don't quit when things get difficult. You adjust. You don't collapse under pressure. You mature. You don't resent responsibility, you rise to it. A reset also means upgrading your inputs. What you read, what you listen to, who you learn from, and what conversations you entertain all shape your internal world. Garbage in produces garbage out. Wisdom in produces progress out. You cannot think differently while feeding your mind the same information that kept you stuck. If you want to come back here, you must deliberately expose yourself to ideas that challenge you, stretch you, and demand more of you. Not everything that feels good is good for you. Sometimes growth feels uncomfortable because it confronts who you've been with, who you could become. And that discomfort is not danger, it's direction. When your thinking resets, patience replaces panic. You stop rushing outcomes and start trusting process. You understand that confidence is not loud, it is quiet consistency. You stop waiting to feel ready and start acting ready. Because readiness is a result of movement, not a prerequisite for it. Reset thinking also means redefining failure. Failure is not proof that you can't succeed, it's proof that you're trying something difficult. The only real failure is refusing to learn. When your philosophy shifts, mistakes become teachers instead of verdicts. Setbacks become signals instead of stop signs. And suddenly, the very experiences that once discouraged you become the foundation of your growth. This is why resetting your thinking is non-negotiable. You can't outwork a weak philosophy, you can't hustle your way past self-doubt, and you can't build a strong future on borrowed beliefs. 2026 will not improve because the world gets easier. It will improve because you get wiser, because you decide to think differently about effort, time, discipline, and responsibility, because you stop asking for a lighter load and start building stronger shoulders. When your thinking resets, your behavior follows. When your behavior changes, your habits improve. When your habits improve, results eventually arrive. And when results arrive, they are no longer fragile because they are supported by a solid philosophy. That is how a real comeback happens, not by chance, not by luck, but by a deliberate decision to reset the way you think so the rest of your life can finally move forward. Restart with simple daily disciplines. If there is one principle that separates those who turn their lives around from those who stay stuck hoping for it is this: success is rarely the result of dramatic breakthroughs. It is the result of simple disciplines practiced consistently over time. Most people overestimate what they can do in a week and underestimate what they can do in a year. They wait for the perfect plan, the perfect moment, or the perfect surge of motivation, while the real power sits quietly in ordinary daily actions. A restart does not require you to become intense. It requires you to become intentional. Small, well-chosen habits, repeated every day, quietly reshape your identity. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. That's why restarting with discipline is far more effective than restarting with excitement. Excitement fades, but discipline compounds. Daily disciplines don't look impressive in the beginning. Reading a few pages, waking up a little earlier, saving a small amount, practicing a skill for 20 minutes, none of these will impress your friends or change your life overnight. But over time, they produce something far more powerful than motivation, momentum. And momentum is what carries you forward when enthusiasm disappears. Many people fail not because they do the wrong things, but because they do the right things too inconsistently. They start strong, skip when it gets uncomfortable, then wonder why nothing changes. A real restart means removing drama from progress. It means understanding that boredom is part of mastery and repetition is the price of excellence. Discipline is not about restriction, it's about freedom. Every small promise you keep to yourself strengthens your confidence. Every skipped commitment weakens it. And confidence is not built by thinking, it's built by evidence. You trust yourself when you do what you said you would do, especially when no one is watching. Daily disciplines also protect you from emotional decision-making. When life is chaotic, habits create stability. When motivation is low, routines carry you for war. When results are slow, discipline keeps you in the game. This is why people who win long-term are not necessarily more talented. They are more consistent. They show up on average days. They do the work when it's inconvenient. They understand that progress is often invisible before it becomes obvious. Restarting with discipline also means starting small enough to win. Many people fail because they aim too big too fast. They try to overhaul their entire life in a week and collapse under the weight of their own expectations. A wise restart respects the power of gradual improvement. Improve one habit, strengthen one area, fix one daily behavior. Success built slowly is success built to last. Daily disciplines also shape your identity. You don't become confident by affirmations. You become confident by disciplined action. You don't become skilled by wishing. You become skilled by practice. You don't become strong by hoping. You become strong by repetition. What you do daily eventually becomes who you are. And once identity changes, behavior becomes easier. Discipline is hardest in the beginning because you're acting against your old identity. But as the new identity forms, discipline turns into habit, and habit turns into lifestyle. Restarting also means eliminating small neglects. Just as good habits compound positively, small neglects compound negatively. Skipping a workout occasionally isn't the problem. Skipping it repeatedly becomes the problem. Ignoring learning for a week isn't fatal. Ignoring it for years is. A comeback year requires honesty about what you've been neglecting and the courage to fix it daily, not occasionally. Daily disciplines also teach patience. You learn to trust the process instead of chasing shortcuts. You stop looking for quick wins and start building real value. You understand that success is not an event, it's a lifestyle. And lifestyles are built one day at a time. Restarting with discipline also means protecting your time. Discipline requires boundaries. You can't build a better life while constantly giving your best energy to distractions. You must decide what deserves your attention and what doesn't. Saying no is a discipline. Going to bed on time is a discipline. Turning off distractions is a discipline. And these quiet decisions determine the quality of your future more than any grand goal ever will. When you restart with daily disciplines, you also develop resilience. You learn to keep going even when progress feels slow. You stop quitting when things don't go your way. You understand that bad days don't cancel good habits. One mistake doesn't erase consistency. You forgive yourself quickly and return to the discipline immediately. That ability to recover fast is a skill, and it's built through practice. A comeback year isn't about never failing. It's about failing less often and recovering faster. Discipline teaches you that success is not fragile. It's durable. It survives stress, boredom, and resistance. By the end of the year, people will ask how you changed so much. And the honest answer will be simple. I did small things every day when it didn't feel important. That is the secret most people overlook. Restarting with daily disciplines doesn't just change what you do. It changes who you become. And when you become stronger, wiser, and more consistent, your results have no choice but to follow. This is how 2026 becomes your comeback year. Not through intensity, not through luck, but through simple disciplines. Practice daily without negotiation. Refocus on what actually produces results. If you want 2026 to be your comeback year, you must understand a simple but harsh truth. Busyness is not the same as progress, and activity is not the same as achievement. Most people spend their lives running in circles, exhausting themselves on tasks that feel urgent but are largely irrelevant to their long-term success. They scroll through information, answer emails, attend meetings, and engage in constant all while their most important goals quietly stall. The world is filled with distractions, and the ability to focus on what actually produces results is what separates those who struggle endlessly from those who achieve consistently. Refocusing begins with clarity about priorities. You must identify the 20% of efforts that generate 80% of your outcomes. Not everything matters equally, and pretending it does is a recipe for wasted time, frustration, and missed opportunities. Most people resist refocusing because it forces tough decisions, saying no to comfort, convenience, and even people. But saying no to what is irrelevant is not selfish, it is strategic. Every yes to a distraction is a no to your future. Every yes to a trivial task is a no to your most important work. If you want a real comeback, you must ruthlessly protect your attention, energy, and time. The first step is to evaluate what you have been spending your time on. Review your past weeks and months and ask which actions actually moved the needle, which actions merely filled space, which activities made a lasting difference, and which ones were forgotten by the next day. Honesty in this assessment is non-negotiable because illusions of productivity will kill your results. Once you identify what works, you must double down on it. Focus is a multiplier. It concentrates your energy, sharpens your skills, and accelerates your progress. Scattered effort produces scattered results. Concentrated effort produces exponential results. Refocusing also requires simplifying your goals. People often fail not because their dreams are too small, but because they are too scattered. They chase multiple priorities simultaneously, thinking they are being productive. But multitasking is the enemy of mastery. Depth beats breadth. The fewer things you commit to, the greater your chances of success in each. When you refocus, you learn to measure output instead of input. You stop counting hours and start counting results. You stop rewarding effort alone and start rewarding effectiveness. You track progress, not just activity. You understand that time spent does not equal value created, and you begin making decisions that maximize your impact, not your busyness. Refocusing also demands that you reevaluate your relationships and influences. Who you spend time with affects your thinking, habits, and results. Surround yourself with those who elevate your focus and minimize exposure to those who drain your energy or distract you from your priorities. Focus is not only about tasks, it's about the environment, the people, and the mental energy that surround you. When you refocus, you protect your mind from unnecessary noise. You eliminate unnecessary obligations. You create space for deep work, reflection, and strategic thinking. Without this, even the smartest plans fail because they are diluted by distractions. Another critical aspect of refocusing is cutting the shoulds from your life. Society, friends, and family will constantly present opinions on what you should do, but not everything you should do produces meaningful results for your life. You must distinguish between expectations that are yours and those imposed by others. Freedom comes not from doing everything, but from doing what truly matters to your growth and goals. Refocusing also requires patience and persistence. The things that truly produce results rarely yield immediate gratification. Building skill, accumulating knowledge, growing influence, and creating wealth take time. Many people abandon focus too soon because they expect fast outcomes. Those who persist, however, understand that patience compounds, and consistent attention to high-value activities produces results that overwhelm the noise of short-term distractions. Discipline and focus are intimately connected. Discipline is what allows you to refuse trivial temptations, and focus is what allows your disciplined actions to high. T, the target. Without focus, discipline becomes effort scattered. Without discipline, focus becomes energy wasted. Together, they form the engine of transformation. Refocusing also forces you to confront your weaknesses. You must identify what has been holding you back and take decisive action to correct it. Avoiding difficult conversations, procrastination, and lack of skill may feel comfortable, but it produces results that are minimal at best. Addressing these gaps head-on is uncomfortable, but discomfort precedes growth, and growth precedes the results you've been waiting for. A true focus-driven approach also emphasizes leverage. Some tasks, strategies, or relationships produce results far beyond their immediate effort. Identify these leverage points and prioritize them relentlessly. Don't waste energy on tasks with low return when you could be amplifying your impact through what truly matters. Refocusing transforms the way you view failure and setbacks. When you are focused why failure becomes a lesson. You analyze, adjust, and redirect effort toward what works. Scattered energy, on the other hand, only produces frustration, confusion, and repeated mistakes. Focus turns every setback into progress because it is anchored in what is meaningful, measurable, and repeatable. Furthermore, refocusing your life means aligning your daily actions with long-term vision. Each morning, ask yourself, what single action today will move me closest to my goal? Make that action non-negotiable. Repeat it every day, week after week. This is how progress accumulates, not through random effort, but through disciplined, focused action. Mental clarity is a byproduct of this approach. When your priorities are clear and distractions are minimized, you gain the freedom to think creatively, strategically, and proactively. Your mind stops wandering into trivialities and starts operating as a powerful engine of decision-making and innovation. And as clarity grows, confidence grows. You Stop questioning your steps because they are anchored in purpose. You stop comparing yourself to others because your focus is on what matters to your own journey. You measure success internally, not externally, and this produces a sustainable, resilient mindset that carries through every challenge. Ultimately, refocusing is about control. It is about reclaiming your attention, energy, and choices from the chaos of modern life. It is about refusing to allow distractions, low-value tasks, or irrelevant opinions to dictate your future. The world will always try to scatter your focus, but the comeback mindset is the mindset that says, I control my energy, I choose my actions, I direct my life toward meaningful results. And when you adopt this mindset, every choice you make compounds toward success. By the end of 2026, the people around you will notice the difference, and you will feel it every day. Not because you did everything or because life suddenly became easier, but because you learn to channel your energy toward what truly produces results. Busyness will no longer fool you, distractions will no longer derail you, and shallow activity will no longer consume your life. You will act with purpose, work with precision, and invest your energy where it multiplies. Refocusing on results is not a one-time decision, it is a daily commitment. It is the constant evaluation of actions, priorities, and energy. It is the courage to cut what doesn't matter and the discipline to pursue what does. It is the difference between spinning your wheels and moving forward, between wishing for change and creating it. And that, above all else, is what makes a comeback year possible. When focus guides your efforts become unstoppable, and 2026 becomes not just another year, but the year you transformed your life through deliberate, results-driven action. Consistency will succeed where motivation failed. If there is one truth that separates those who achieve lasting success from those who merely dream about it, it is this: motivation is unreliable, but consistency is unstoppable. Most people rely on feelings to dictate their actions. They wait for inspiration, a surge of energy, or the perfect emotional state before taking steps toward their goals. The problem is that motivation comes and goes. It is fleeting, unpredictable, and often dependent on circumstances outside of your control. Some days you will feel motivated, other days you won't. If your results depend on how you feel, your progress will be equally unstable. Consistency, on the other hand, is a decision to act regardless of mood, circumstance, or external conditions. It is the steady application of effort over time, the daily showing up, the repetition of small intentional actions that compound into remarkable outcomes. When you commit to consistency, you do not rely on inspiration. You rely on habit, discipline, and a clear standard that you refuse to compromise. The most successful people are not those who experience the most excitement or bursts of genius. They are those who persist, who do what others refuse to do when it is uncomfortable, boring, or inconvenient. Consistency is what transforms effort into skill, time into results, and intention into achievement. Every habit, every action, every choice you repeat shapes your identity and ultimately determines your destiny. Motivation may push you to start, but only consistency carries you through. Many people give up after the initial excitement fades because they mistake motivation for a sustainable engine. They expect passion to be constant. They believe inspiration will always arrive, and when it doesn't, they falter. This is why so many comebacks fail before they even begin. The person who relies on motivation is vulnerable to every distraction, every setback, and every emotional fluctuation. Consistency removes that vulnerability because it is anchored in principle, not feeling. It does not ask how you feel. It asks what you are willing to commit to repeatedly, day after day, until results become inevitable. A comeback year is not won in moments of brilliance. It is won in the countless small, disciplined actions performed without fanfare. Writing one page, exercising when tired, saving a little, learning a skill, keeping promises to yourself. These are the actions that seem insignificant in isolation, but over time create a foundation that cannot be shaken. Consistency builds momentum, and momentum builds confidence. When you know you can show up even when it is hard, even when no one is watching, even when results are slow, you begin to trust yourself. That trust is powerful because it allows you to take on bigger challenges, weather setbacks, and maintain direction when everything else seems uncertain. In fact, consistency is far more important than speed. Many people chase rapid transformation and are disappointed when it doesn't happen. They give up because the results do not match their impatience. But life does not reward urgency as much as it rewards regular, reliable action. The person who performs small, correct actions consistently will eventually surpass the person who performs sporadically, no matter how talented or energetic they appear to be. Consistency also reduces stress and decision fatigue. When you commit to a standard, you no longer debate every choice. You have a framework for action. You know what to do and when to do it. You remove uncertainty and replace it with routine, which conserves mental energy for what truly matters. Over time, consistency compounds. A single action repeated daily might seem trivial, but repeated for months and years, it produces results far beyond imagination. Skills improve, relationships strengthen, knowledge accumulates, habits become automatic, and your capacity grows. That is the true power of showing up day after day. A comeback year requires that you EMB. Race consistency not as a temporary strategy, but as a lifestyle. It is not a tactic you use when convenient. It is a principle you embed in everything you do. It is the difference between failure and achievement, between wishing and becoming. Consistency also teaches resilience. Life is unpredictable, challenges are inevitable, and setbacks will occur. Motivation may vanish in the face of hardship, but a consistent person perseveres. They do not stop because they feel discouraged. They adjust, adapt, and continue. They understand that failure is temporary, but abandoning consistency guarantees defeat. Furthermore, consistency shapes your identity. You do not become disciplined by thinking about discipline. You become disciplined by repeatedly acting in ways that reflect discipline. You do not become reliable by proclaiming reliability. You become reliable by consistently keeping commitments. Who you are emerges from what you consistently do, not what you occasionally attempt. That is why. Consistency is a multiplier of potential. Raw talent, intelligence, and motivation matter far less than the steady accumulation of effort. A small, consistent action today produces results tomorrow. A small, consistent action repeated for weeks becomes noticeable, repeated for months becomes transformative, and repeated for years becomes a legacy. Consistency also trains patience. When you focus on daily effort rather than immediate results, you learn to trust the process. You understand that growth is incremental, improvement is gradual, and success is rarely instantaneous. That trust prevents frustration, discouragement, and abandonment, which are the true killers of potential. A comeback year is impossible without this mindset. Many people look at extraordinary achievements and assume they are the result of luck, genius, or talent. In reality, extraordinary achievement is almost always the product of ordinary actions performed consistently over long periods. The person who appears to have overnight success actually been showing up faithfully for years when no one was watching. Consistency also reinforces focus. When you commit to a plan and follow it daily, you learn to eliminate distractions, resist temptation, and prioritize what matters. Every action that aligns with your goal reinforces your commitment and strengthens your ability to stay the course. Conversely, inconsistency breeds distraction, indecision, and doubt. Motivation is temporary. Consistency is permanent. It creates a structure within which you operate, a rhythm that carries you through challenges, and a habit that protects you from your own weaknesses. The discipline of consistency teaches humility as well. You learn that results are not immediate and that achievement is rarely glamorous in the moment. You understand that hard work is often invisible, boring, and repetitive, but those who endure reap rewards that are undeniable. Finally, consistency empowers you to reclaim control over your life. When you no longer rely on fluctuating feelings, moods, or circumstances to dictate action, you take responsibility for your progress. You stop waiting for conditions to be perfect and start creating results despite obstacles. Every day, every effort, every repetition adds up. By committing to consistency, you turn hope into reality, intentions into actions, and potential into tangible achievement. And that is why consistency will always succeed where motivation fails. Motivation might start the journey, but only consistency completes it. 2026 can be your comeback year if you understand that the path to transformation is not paved with inspiration alone. It is built with relentless, repeated, disciplined action. If you show up every day, even imperfectly, even when it's hard, even when no one sees, You will look back at the end of the year and realize that the comeback you dreamed of has become the life you live.